questions without notice. The Leader of the Opposition.
My question's to the Prime Minister. Prior to today, the Prime Minister has said at least 9 times that if the ABCC bill was rejected by the Senate, he would call a double dissolution election on July 2. But 4 times today, the Prime Minister refused to confirm the exact date of the election. Why is it that after weeks of telling the Australian people the exact date of the election, now that it's time for a decision, the Prime Minister is completely paralysed?
Members on my right, the Prime Minister has the call.
Mr. Speaker, the Leader of the Opposition's pathetic attempt today to misrepresent what I've said just underlines his lack of any character commitment to jobs in Australia. Mr. Speaker, last night the Senate abolished the Road Safety Remuneration Tribunal, and what that did was restore tens of thousands of Australians to their employment. It put owner-drivers back on the road. It put people back into their jobs. The Labor Party talks about jobs. Every policy of theirs is calculated to destroy jobs. That is not just prospective. We saw thousands of owner-drivers out of work. We saw grown men weeping. We saw them with their wives and their children and their idle trucks put out of work at the behest of the Labor Party, at the behest of the Leader of the Opposition, all for the benefit of the Transport Workers Union. So when we say we stand for jobs, we mean it, and we deliver. We delivered last night. We delivered jobs back to tens of thousands of Australians.
The Prime Minister will resume his seat. The members on my left and right will cease interjecting. The Manager of Opposition Business on a point of order.
Thanks. On direct relevance, Prime Minister's proving he can't give a straight answer.
The Manager of Opposition Business. Before I call the Prime Minister, the Prime Minister
addressed that issue on a building site with the Minister, Michaelia Cash, Senator Cash, who's done such an outstanding job in this regard. And we talked about the ABCC, and we talked about the Building and Construction Commission and the need to restore it, because restoring the ABCC restores jobs to the construction sector. The rule of law must prevail. Lawlessness in the construction sector keeps honest men and women out of work. Once again, it serves only to promote the interests of one of the Leader of the Opposition's great supporters, the CFMEU, 105 officials of which are currently before Fair Work or the courts on more than 1,000 charges of breaking industrial law. Now, as to the election, Mr. Speaker, let me say what I said today. I will, after the budget, I will advise the Governor-General to dissolve both houses of Parliament, and I will advise him to call an election on the 2nd of July. The Governor-General will consider that request, that advice, and he will make a decision. And that is the constitutional fact. So that is why I say I expect there to be an election on the 2nd of July, but of course my constitutional duty is under Section 57 to advise the Governor-General of my wishes in that regard, and it is up to him whether to agree to dissolve both houses and issue the writs.